Dr. Srivastava's railway journey began as an apprentice selected through UPSC in 1991, leading to a 4-year training in Jamalpur, Bihar, and subsequent absorption into the IRSME, Indian Railway Service of Mechanical Engineers. It's been over 2 decades in operations, research, and administration and management roles since. Previous roles in ministries of steel, heavy industries, culture, and the Railway Board have rounded off her engineering knowledge with heritage, museology, and conservation expertise as well. She presently serves as CVO in NCRTC, which is building the rapid transit corridor from Delhi NCR to satellite towns like Meerut and Panipat. Please put your hands together and welcome Dr. Vinita Srivastava on stage. Can we give her a more energetic round of applause?
Thank you so much. I promise it won't be more than 10 minutes. So now can I get a good round of applause? Thank you. Okay, how many of you have actually traveled on NCRTC's, the RRTS, or rather the Namo Bharat trains? Can I see a show of hands? Okay, not too many. Maybe between today and tomorrow, अगर आप दिल्ली में हैं, तो please do go to Anand Vihar, the nearest, and take a short ride. It will take you under an hour to Meerut and then back. And I promise you that it will obviate the need for you to even listen to my presentation. Because NCRTC, as I can proudly say after 25 years of a career in railways, is certainly elevated passenger travel to heights that have not been seen before in India. Providing safety, comfort, seamless travel experience was the topic given to me. And I'm not a doctor actually yet. I'm enrolled for PhD, but fair enough. I accept the... The structure of my presentation is in brief 4 sections, a bit of context setting, some contemporary passenger travel, so to trace where we've come so far, a quick parametric analysis of what it means globally and in India for safety, comfort, and seamless travel, and finally, a couple of strategies which can help planners, policymakers, engineers, and others to elevate the passenger experience when they look at rolling stock, track, or other systems within the railways. Context setting, of course, the Industrial Revolution, that's why we're all here. First, there were steam engines for locomotives, and then passenger railways across the 19th century. We had them in Europe, North America, and Asia. Bear with me while I relate this history, because ye history sunne ke baad if we don't remember history, we're condemned to repeat it. So you must think of the context that legacy networks across India are more than 100 to 200 years old. And those are the networks which we modernize, maintain, and build today. So technology, regulation, and innovation are continually helping us improve. And now Indian Railways has entered the semi-high and high-speed era. Look at these 3 posters. They're vintage posters. The first is Amfleet around the 70s. This was a sort of a airline kind of seating introduced into a coach on the Amtrak network. The second is the Gotthard Express between Basel and Milan. And again, you can see very fashionable travel, seated, people dining. And the third is a tram in Rome. All of these are between 50 to 100 years old. But you can see that passenger safety and comfort have always been an incentive to encourage people to give up their cars, take the mode shift, and travel by rail. And trust me, if that mode shift doesn't happen better and better in times to come, we're all going to lose our jobs here. These are similar vintage posters from India. But they're pre-independence. The GIP railway, the Simla Heritage Line, and the Nilgiri Line. And all of them give you a passenger experience with destination travel, with fares and clubs and return fares advertised. What does that mean? Just bear with me for a couple more of Amtrak posters. It says not everyone was meant to fly. So they're trying to challenge the airline industry as well. The second poster says maybe your next flight should be on a train. Now, do we even today have passenger travel offerings that can challenge airlines like this? Not in India, perhaps, but hopefully soon. These are two books which I will recommend everyone to read. One is, of course, Around the World in 80 Days. इसका हिंदी संस्करण भी है. पूरे विश्व की 80 दिनों में यात्रा या ऐसे कुछ. जूल्स वर्न की किताब है. Phileas Fogg of London and his French valet, Passepartout, traveled the world in 80 days. Now, if anybody wants to talk on the subject of multimodal travel, you must read this book, whether in English, Hindi, or French as you can. Closer to the current days, Paul Theroux's The Great Railway Bazaar. He travels across all the wonderful trains of Asia, Orient Express, Khyber Pass Local, Frontier Mail, Golden Arrow, Mandalay Express, and the Trans-Siberian Express. And his anecdotal journeys are absolutely fantastic. You will understand what passenger comfort meant in maybe 1975 and what it has come to today. And certainly you will be thankful. So this comes to the second section of my presentation about contemporary passenger travel, safe, comfortable, and seamless. How is it safe? We have engineered materials for resilient infrastructure. In fact, the room is full of them. I must congratulate you on the diversity of having a voice bot and a cable which doesn't tension the thing when it turns, and filters, and such a vast array of machinery, which proves this point completely, that engineered materials for resilient infrastructure are with us today. We're lucky that way. Crash avoidance and safety protocols are being proliferated across the network as we speak. And also our uniformed forces are ensuring crime control and evolving travel behavior. How is the journey more comfortable today? Because there's better station infrastructure, there's reliable routes with convenient scheduling, cushioned and air-conditioned coach interiors, and a plethora of onboard services. Seamless, we have to understand this a little bit better, and further on in the presentation, I have some models that can explain it. But digitalization of the entire passenger experience, from ticketing to the last mile, are helping to make the journey seamless, especially high-speed railway networks and the supporting technology which we use in NCRTC actively are also great contributors to this. No mention of contemporary travel would be complete without mentioning these networks of the Shinkansen and the ICE. So Shinkansen in Japan is the pinnacle of high speed and unblemished safety record. But of course, they're tempting fate with a new film which you must watch. It's called The Bullet Train Explosion, and it's very, very interesting. The Intercity, that screen grab is of a ticket which can be booked almost from anywhere around the globe for reasonable prices, and it connects Paris to Berlin in 8 hours. Indian Railways, however, began with a bit of a disadvantage. We were under colonial rule, and so there were legacy systems. What you have on the screen is a map of India from the 1860s, and it says, showing the railways finished, in progress, and intended, the cotton and coal districts. It's a stark reminder that railways came to India, maybe like today we're welcoming this brand new technology of trains, high-speed, semi-high-speed trains. At that time also, hundreds of years ago, trains came to India, but they came for a reason. They came to exploit what we grew in our fields and what we mined in the mines. And they took them out, and then what was pushed into the country was manufactured goods like cheaper clothes and, from Manchester cotton, which maybe the public didn't really want. So the legacy and the purpose behind the system was very different. Of course, we have come away from that to a nationwide network which is continuously evolving through technology, innovation, infrastructure, and core reforms. The visuals are a narrator of the same. We started with third class in Indian Railways, where the father of the nation himself was thrown out of the railway trains. He later on went on to use them very effectively during the freedom struggle. That book, Purveyors of Destiny, is a wonderful read for the cultural biography of Indian Railways. And today, of course, the trio of Vande Bharat, Namo Bharat, and Amrit Bharat trains are there for all of us to watch. NCRTC. Again, an invitation to please take a trip on the train, because seeing is believing. But they are transforming travel. They're changing the paradigms of safety, comfort, speed, and reliability. And they're seamless and interoperable. So a Meerut metro train can also travel to some of the stops from Meerut side, and then you can switch over to the rapid transit. Similarly, from Sarai Kale Khan, which we hope will be completed within the next month or so, there will be seamless connections to the rest of the satellite towns in Delhi. Almost 8 corridors are planned. The pictures are not really close to the real thing, so you must see them for yourself, but the seating is comfortable, the stations are spotless, there's passenger screen doors which are safe enough for you to board and deboard from the train, and the stations themselves are examples of great design, multimodal connections to the DMRC network. And also we have some lovely events now going on. So Anand Vihar has a Friday unplugged concert where the youth of that area have really taken to it. They come on Fridays and they sing music, and there's art at the stations going to come up shortly. So we are elevating the passenger experience in a way that will demonstrate not only to the city of Delhi but to other capital cities as to how passenger travel experience can be improved. But there's also the independent safety assessment, the ISA, which we go for, and there are several national and international bodies. How it helps is that there are codified national, international technical standards and regulations. Most of us are aware of them. For India, there's corporate governance and institutional finance through the Railway Board and the IRFC. Safety record, disaster management, crash avoidance, and other factors are always important when we are evaluating safety of a system vis-a-vis other systems within the country or outside. For comfort, that guy in the cartoon, the diagram, who's looking rather troubled, now that's a study for onboard comfort. What troubles you when you board a train? The rolling stock itself. There's static discomfort, visually, thermally, noise, oral pressure, so in the ear, there's vibration discomfort. Now all of this can cause problems when you're on board. We need to have strong methods to assess them. In the morning, I think Rupesh spoke about testing of metro coaches and how a lot of it is now being done in-house. We must list and measure the environmental parameters as well as the human parameters. And finally, look for improvement method of passenger ride comfort in a very Indian context for the Indian railway passenger. Moving on from onboard comfort, before boarding and after disembarkation, stations and services are also key to passenger comfort. The design has to be focused on the person who's traveling. When you transport freight, coal and steel will not complain. But when you transport passengers, obviously, if they are subject to these tortures, they will complain. Digital services and ticketing help to take the uncertainty out of travel. Similarly, fares and price points help to get you value for money from the trip. Branding and perception are also key. The third and final parametric analysis slide talks about seamless travel. I'll direct your attention to that little diagram. So in Europe, they have a 4-hour door-to-door concept for passenger comfort. So when you leave your home and you're getting to a hotel, maybe you're taking different modes, a train, a bus, a taxi ride. You fly from one airport to another and then you reach. All of these together must be end-to-end from Europe, be within roughly 4 hours. I don't think we are going to achieve that in India soon, but yes, in the National Rail Plan, there are identified passenger corridors, and over there, we can elevate the passenger experience to this kind of seamlessness. We must remember, yes, that the journey begins in the mind of the passenger. So the minute you decide that I'm going to travel, that is when your journey begins. And if that seamless and holistic study is done of your intended customer, then things can improve. Why US is different is the Eisenhower interstate system. So I've added this slide only to contrast the beginning. We had a legacy system with a colonial railway. They had in the 1990s, I believe, an interstate highway system from Alaska to Hawaii. So the decision to travel was very individual. If you had a car, you could simply drive anywhere. Which comes to the fourth and the last segment of my presentation. How do you elevate the passenger experience? So just, time's up. Okay. I'll finish quickly. Look at the top box, investment in time, money and effort. If you decide to take the journey, आप आज सोच रहे हैं कि आप यात्रा करेंगे, समय कितना लगेगा, खर्चा कितना होगा, and the effort, जाना पड़ेगा स्टेशन या जहाँ भी, then the value of the trip and the destination, once again as a perception. What's the location? Who are the people who are taking that journey with you, perhaps, in the process? Now there comes the equilibrium, which is in the second block, that suppose if it's too torturous, it's too difficult to take the trip, you'll simply stay at home, you will not go. So nobody is earning money from that trip, neither the railways nor the taxiwala, because you're just staying at home. But once you do decide to take the trip, then the equilibrium kicks in and the mode choice kicks in. Each one of us has to think of how this mode shift is going to happen from road to train. And what are the processes, the time, money, and effort, how you can minimize it. The next slide tells you the pyramid of customer needs. The triangle is familiar to those who've studied Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But for the railway passenger, at the bottom is safety and reliability, and that comes to a quality parameter of trust. You must trust कि हाँ इसमें चढ़ेंगे तो पहुँच जाएंगे और निश्चित इतने समय में इस जगह से इस जगह आप पहुँच जाएंगे. You will reach from point A to point B, your intended destination, in a certain time. The two blocks in yellow are dissatisfiers. There is ease and there is speed. So you perceive that, okay, I'll be able to complete this journey very easily at this speed, but then your train stalls or your journey is interrupted or there's other disturbances, and that contributes to dissatisfaction in the passenger's mind. The typical pain points on Indian railways are toilets, crowding, confusing signage, and lack of multimodal integration. And this can reduce your passenger experience. The top two are in green. They are the comfort and the experience itself, which is a factor of the physical effort taken for the journey and the emotions. Now, if you use this framework it's a European framework, but try and apply it to maybe a journey during the Kumbh Mela. You tried to reach Prayagraj. Emotion was reigning supreme. Safety and reliability was to some extent there. But what happened to the ease and the speed? Where was the comfort? So the mind of the Indian passenger is perhaps the top columns are broader, or the safety and reliability is a little depressed, but that's a good framework to try and evaluate customer needs. Key themes and focus areas, I'll leave this slide and maybe post it online because there are 10 of them. I don't want to go beyond. But these are mostly focusing on interchange design. So instead of the journey itself and just the rolling stock and the seat width and the berth and air conditioning, think of how the traveler starts from home He has to take a rickshaw or get dropped to the station, take a platform ticket for his family, board the train, sit and watch his luggage, kahin saman to nahi chori hoga, kuli, all of that. And then finally, once he's on board, even then, can he rest? Because a second AC or a three-tier AC is not completely secured. He doesn't have an area to himself. So all of those things in this framework, how do we handle the interchanges, are key to designing the passenger experience. I'm very grateful for your patient listening, and I wish the team and the second day most. The disclaimers are, my opinions are personal, images are from the sources as credited, and maps are indicative. And a lot of thanks to NCRTC as well as the School of Planning and Architecture and the Heritage Archive from where I've borrowed the visuals. Thank you so much.